Okay, hi everybody. We are in the final stretches now, and next week your final paper is due. That's your paper on drama on the piano lesson, and Friday the 10th is a hard deadline for that because the 17th I have to get grades in. So please, do submit it whenever you can before the 10th or by the 10th at least by 11:59 p.m. And as you know, on this for this essay, you do not have to go to the writing center. That is not required. However, I of course urge you to go. I think it's always helpful to get somebody else to look at your paper. So just to go over what the essay will entail, in week 14, you will find the drama essay assignment here. So very much the same as what we've done before with poetry and with fiction. You are going to be, although in this case you are responding to one of the essay topics down here, the ones you've already started on. So either 1, 2, 3, or 4. So go ahead and, delve into the topic now, commit to it. You can always use a thesis from one of your peers. I'm fine with that, but I do want you to try to come up with one as well, and I will be responding to that. It is a 3 to 4 page paper, and you will also have your final process narrative with that paper answering these questions here. The one for number 3 for the writing center tutor, you only have to answer if you visited the writing center tutor. But you do want to answer all of these thoroughly, okay? Sometimes you shortchange the process narrative, and that's really where I get to see you, grappling with the concepts we've been covering in class and your growth as a writer. So it's a really important part of this final assignment. The other piece is to record this out loud, definitely. Very important to read both the process narrative and the essay out loud. So you can put that all on one file for me if that's possible. All right, I wanted to, let's see, let me stop share for a second and open up this sample essay that is attached to your folder. So, sec. If you want to follow along again, you can just go into weekly content folder 14 and it is there, but I will, and I encourage you to read it over to yourselves. This is not a perfect essay, far from it, but it is a student essay that I wanted to just sort of, go over with you fairly quickly so that you get where you're moving with your own essay, okay? And you see what the errors are that this writer is making, and then think about your own essay in that regard. So August Wilson's use of symbolism is an important and effective method of storytelling in the piano lesson. Okay, so do remember this person did it correctly to italicize the piano lesson. You definitely want to get the playwright's name in, August Wilson. You might want to mention that it's a play, which she does not do here. But symbolism is a technique used by writers to associate one object or idea with another. This technique is essential in the piano lesson due to the small scale rural environment in which the story is told. Important thoughts and ideas that Wilson is trying to portray about African-American society could never be expressed without symbolism due to this small setting. Okay, this part is a bit confusing. There are many examples of symbolism in the piano lesson, but one can get a good idea of the importance of this technique by exploring some of the more prevalent ones. Okay, I think this is where the thesis, this person wants the thesis to be. But since we don't get paragraphs, it's very difficult to, really identify where the thesis is. And in general, it does come at the end of your introductory paragraph. So good idea to split your essay up into paragraphs, showing different ideas, starting with topic sentences that introduce, what the topic of each paragraph is and how that relates back to your thesis, okay? The most recognizable symbol throughout the story is the piano that the family owns. Another important symbol is the magic suit that Whining Boy supplies Lyman with. Next, we can examine the character of Boy Willie, a person who represents an attitude that transcends over time. Finally, we can look at the character of Avery, a man meant to represent yet another specific attitude. Through these symbols and many others, Wilson is able to tell his story more effectively. Okay, and if this is the thesis, then it is way too broad. Tell his story how? More effectively in what way? What is he exactly doing? Remember that you are not evaluating, you're not saying whether it's effective or not. You're analyzing. So you're telling us how Wilson is doing what he's doing. How is the play coming together? How, is one character developing or changing throughout the play? Okay, you need that so what factor. The piano itself is the most important symbol throughout the entire story, and it is not a story, it's a play. This piano has multiple purposes throughout its history. The first being it's acting as a symbol of the low value attributed to a slave. Doker says, so he asked Mr. Nolander to see if maybe he could trade off some of his end for that piano. And the page number, oh, I see. Yes. Okay. He's included the page number. She's included the page number. Okay. Which basically shows what little value was placed on a slave. Sutter ain't had no money, as Doker acknowledges, but he had some slaves. The piano itself, and I'm sorry, but this punctuation, the period here should go outside of the page number. Okay. The piano itself has become a symbol for what little value the slaves hold now. These slaves are now being treated as dollar amounts, as parts that are interchangeable for an object. These slaves are used to buy the piano from Mr. Nolander. Eventually, the piano is in the hands of this family that the story revolves around. The piano has become a symbol for the history of the family and represents an attempt to keep the family together. The piano has carvings of family members all over it, as Doker mentions. That's my grandmother, Bernice. She looked just like that. And he put a picture of my daddy when he wasn't nothing but a little boy, the way he remembered him. And again, the punctuation should go outside of the page number, not inside here. Okay. The piano is a symbol of the family because it is literally covered with his history. Doker states that Boy Charles say it was the story of our whole family, and as long as Sutter had it, he had us. Okay. When you see an ellipsis, generally that means that there are words that are being left out so that you can choose only the relevant parts of the quote. Okay, so you can certainly do that if there are relevant parts of the quote that you want to include, but they're not side by side, you can create an ellipsis there to show us that. Under normal circumstances, a piano would not be something valuable enough to risk your life in order to steal. However, it is clear that Boy Charles viewed it as an important family heirloom, a symbol of their family history. By stealing the piano, he hopes to end the control that Sutter has over them. We see in the story that the ghost of Sutter is still haunting the family through the piano. At the same time, the piano is a symbol of family history. It is also a link to the slavery that the family had to endure. It is only through playing the piano, not through some Christian exorcism or by physically fighting Sutter, that they are able to drive off the ghost of Sutter. Boy Willie says, hey, Bernice, if you and Maratea don't keep playing on that piano, ain't no telling, me and Sutter both liable to be back. By continuing to play the piano, Bernice and her daughter can continue to keep these dark links to their past away. Just like Mama Ola tendered the piano and taught Bernice about it, Bernice can teach Maratea about the importance of preserving this family history. The piano is a very important symbol here for allowing the family to preserve their history. Another important symbol in the piano lesson is the magic suit. And remember, this person is not italicizing, but should be all the way through. The magic suit that Lyman wears when he and Boy Willie go out on their night on the town. Whining Boy tries to make some money by selling Lyman a suit, mentioning that that's a $55 suit. That's the kind of suit the big shots wear. The women will fall out of their windows when they see you in a suit like that. Go on and wear it down the street and get you a woman. Whining Boy is explaining that if Lyman wears a suit, it will transform him from country lowlife to the big shot city gentleman that all the ladies are after. The suit itself symbolizes a maturation process in Lyman, a character that really doesn't much class or importance for that matter up until this point in the story. Okay, not something's missing in here. And again, it's a play. So get the genre correct. Basically, Lyman has transformed himself into a northern boy, something that Whining Boy notes by stating that's the kind of suit you need for up here in the north. And I think this is an interesting point that this person's making, this writer, about the suit and its magical qualities. And I think you can see other magical qualities throughout the play particularly at the end when Boy Willie and Bernice are fighting Sutter's ghost. By using such a simple transformation, Wilson is basically showing us the kind of attitude that existed during this time period. All it really takes for someone to become a Northern boy is to put on some kind of suit that makes everyone around them react differently. There were a lot of people that wanted to move up north and be on equal terms with a white man. Lyman himself represents this population of people, and his suit is a symbol of this transformation. Now that Lyman is wearing the suit, he states to Bernice that I likes women when they wear them fancy night clothes and all. I don't too often get to see a woman dressed like that. You smell real good for Lyman. Clearly, Lyman feels empowered by the suit in a way that he can now approach a Northern woman like Bernice. Additionally, Bernice seems to be affected by the suit in a way that allows her to now objectify a new man. Bernice has been mourning for the loss of her husband for a long time, but she now seems able to move past that. The magic of the suit has empowered Lyman and Bernice to take important steps in their lives. Okay, and this really should be a new paragraph here, and we should get some kind of a transition. The character of Avery is another important symbol in this story. Avery is a man who has embraced the white man's ideals, trying to mold himself into what they want him to become. Avery's a preacher, a highly religious man who has taken a job in the city as an elevator operator. According to him, he is working down there at the Gulf building, running an elevator, got a pension and everything, and they even give you a turkey on Thanksgiving. Clearly, Avery has embraced the life for which the white man has provided for him. Avery is a symbol here for all the people who are content with the role that society has given them. Avery is part of the population that does not wish to avenge his past and prefers to simply move on from certain wrongdoings. Perhaps it is not simply coincidence that Avery is an elevator operator, in that being an elevator operator means that people tell Avery whether to go up or down. Avery is being instructed by the white man on a daily basis as to where to go, which seems to be the way he lives his entire life. Avery just follows the orders of society, does not really seem to make choices for himself. Avery even states, now I wouldn't get in none of them airplanes. You couldn't pay me to do it, nothing like that. Avery does not have any interest in taking to the skies and is simply content to stay on the ground path that is laid for him. There is no reason for Avery to mention airplanes in this instance unless Wilson had some extra meaning implied in it. Avery is used as an effective symbol in this story for someone who might have had this attitude during this time period. Finally, Boy Willie is an important symbol for an attitude that transcends over time. Boy Willie is a man, and I think this writer is not using transcends correctly. I think she means changes, probably. Boy Willie is a man that tries to stand on even ground with the white man. Boy Willie believes himself to be no worse, but perhaps better than the white man. Due to this attitude, Boy Willie believes it is his right to try to avenge the history of his family by purchasing the land that Sutter once owned. Boy Willie states, we need a comma there, right? He say he waiting on me. He say he gives me 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks from Friday. Say if I ain't back by then, he might gonna sell it to somebody else. He say he want to. He say he want to see me with it. By stating, and again, you guys are now going to recognize this error, right? The punctuation has to be outside of the page number. By stating that the seller wants to see me with it, Boy Willie clearly believes it to be his right to own that land. Boy Willie has the attitude that he has every right to the land that the white man does, that he should have it because he deserves it for some reason. Boy Willie says, I ain't talking about selling my soul. I'm talking about trading that piece of wood for some land. You can't do nothing with the piano but sit up there and look at it. Excuse me. Boy Willie is bent on taking redemption for his past, put himself on the same ground literally as the white man. This attitude that Boy Willie symbolizes is prevalent throughout our history, as there have always been groups of African Americans who try to avenge the past. These groups can include the Black Panthers or simply a Black jury that believes a Black man should be freed because of wrongdoing from a distant past. O.J. Simpson, perhaps. This attitude is symbolized in the character of Boy Willie throughout the piano lesson. Through these examples of symbolism in the piano lesson, it is apparent that this literary technique is a very important means of storytelling for August Wilson. Wilson is able to portray important themes, thoughts, and ideas about the time period in which the story takes place through this symbolism. Wilson cannot possibly represent an attitude or a literary theme without having symbols to assist him. Whether it be the magic suit, the piano, Boy Willie, Avery, or some other use of symbolism, August Wilson has effectively used these symbols to tell his story. Okay, So part of the reason I selected this essay is